Alright, howdy everyone. This is another update from Great Lakes Weather. The time is 8:10 p.m. and it is May 15th. We are talking about a severe weather event that the SPC has actually put out an early release for a 15% outlook. We're going to look at a couple models and compare what they are saying because, again, there are model variabilities, but Thursday might be one of the bigger weather events we have seen so far this year. So it's going to be an interesting little setup here. We have some rain moving through at the current moment. I'm going to show you that as well as of May 15th, and then we will get into it. Reminder before we get into that, though, check out that lightning strike. Make sure that you are subscribed to all of the platforms that we have. You have YouTube, Instagram, True Social, Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, and you can text this handle to 81010 for text notifications. Scan that QR code in the bottom right hand corner to ensure that you have access to all of our information. Alrighty, let's get right to it then. So let's pull it up here. Alright, so here is the current radar as of 8:11 p.m. on May 15th. You can see we have showers and thunderstorms moving through the area. There are some stronger storms as you head farther down the south. They're not severe at this moment. They actually dropped the severe thunderstorm watch down to the south. It looks like the potential for severe weather has diminished down there, so good news for them. But this is all going to move off to the northeast. This is actually going to hinder our ability, as I said before, to view the blood moon tonight. Unless you live in extreme eastern Ohio, you'll likely have a quick chance to see it before the rain moves in, so make sure you take advantage of that. But we will likely not be able to see it here, which is very unfortunate because I was really looking forward to that and testing out my telescope. But you know, things happen and just don't work out in your favor sometimes, which is okay. So these will move through tonight, and by tomorrow will be cooler and around 70 degrees before another warm-up begins to fuel in later on in the week, with the potential for more shower and thunderstorm activity, which is what we're going to get into. Friday looks like some severe weather potential for Michigan and Indiana, and maybe even parts of Ohio as it progresses eastward. We still got to wait for the model variabilities to really come together in order to make a determination for this particular forecast. So let's get right into it here real quick. So this is not what I want to show you yet, so we'll get to that in just a second. This is the SPC's website. You can see that it just dropped the watch for Western Indiana. They're pretty much out of that watch now. There is a slight risk still for severe weather in that area and a marginal risk for parts of Ohio off to the east. It doesn't look like it's really going to conjure up to be much, so positive news for people who don't really want to see severe weather. But as we progress to the day 2 outlook, again, that shifts off to the east. Enhanced risk for New England. You don't see that every day. So some tornado risk over there as well. But so stay safe if you're out in that region. DC is included in that as well. Parts of Maryland. So good solid chunk of stuff going on over there. And then a slight risk moving back into play for the Midwest by Tuesday. So slight risk for that area. And then this is where the SPC begins to lose confidence. Potential actually becomes too low for severe weather by the time we get to Wednesday. But then as we get to Thursday, that's when things really start to look interesting. In fact, parts of Wisconsin and the southwestern part of the Upper Peninsula is under a 15% risk, and getting a 15% risk this far out is actually pretty decent chance of some severe weather for that area. Again, not confirmed because the SPC is making a prediction, but it is still a possibility. So, and again, the models have been fairly consistent on all fronts that there is going to be a frontal system and a low pressure system driving these storms as they move in. So Thursday, you get that 15% risk. Again, this doesn't really specify what type of hazard, but they do say there is potential for some more organized supercell structures with this system, and we'll look at some of the models and see how they depict that as well. But 15% risk for areas within 25 miles of any point in this yellow shaded area, according to the SPC. Then we get to day 6. Now day 6 looks a little bit more hefty. So what we're really looking at with this particular setup here is western Indiana, parts of extreme southeastern Indiana will be included. Pretty much the entire state of Indiana and much of the lower peninsula of Michigan is included in this, and they are saying there's some there's not much confidence, but they may push that 15% risk area eastward if the model runs begin to become more consistent. Again, there's still a lot of model variabilities that have to be pointed out, and we're going to look at those real quick. But the SPC has put this out to provide some prior warning of the potential for some severe weather development. So we're going to look at this. Some cities that are in the area include Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Grand Rapids, maybe even Flint and Lansing, and anywhere in those surrounding areas. And they say it might spread eastward in parts of Cincinnati, Dayton. So Great Lakes region is going to see quite a bit of severe weather activity potentially based on the SPC's first initial discussion. Okay, we don't want to go into like saying there's going to be an outbreak just yet. It's not. We're not going to say that until we know all the details, all the facts. And a lot of people will say it's going to be an outbreak. We want to be careful before we get into something like that idea. So maybe the potential for some severe weather is really all that we're looking at right now with this 15% risk from the SPC. So refer to the SPC for later information on that as well. All right, so let's move into the GFS model, the first model. In fact, I may put the GFS and ECMWF model side to side so you can examine the variabilities that the models have. So hopefully you can see them both here. Let me remove this little box here. Let's pull this up real quick. So let's shrink this down to a better size for everyone. There we go. And we are going to go to a precip type. All right, so these are the current models for the current present time. Well, as of, I would say more along the lines of, yeah, I would say current present time around 1 p.m. actually is what this is depicting at the current moment. So let's go to the time that we're at, about 7 p.m. for both models. Monday 7 p.m. that's where we are here. You can see that front is moving through. You got that cooler air on the backside that's going to move in, bring us down to the 70s later on this week, so that's good. Let's progress both of these models forward. We're looking at the GFS first, so progressing it forward, this moves out. And then you got that severe weather risk that is likely in the plains area on Wednesday. And again, that could bring some rain shower activity on Wednesday. Not looking at anything in terms of severe weather except this GFS model is pointing out the potential for a line of thunderstorms. Let's get a quick sounding of that, but it is not showing any severe weather potential with that cluster of heavy rainfall, so that's good. Let's progress this to the same spot. So we'll go to Wednesday at 6Z or 12Z. All right, so kind of following a similar setup here with the ECMWF and GFX, except this one's really showing that it's not really going to be as concentrated. It's going to be kind of more scattered in nature. The ECMWF model is. So you can kind of see those two differences between the models there. Illinois, and so a lot of rain for Illinois and maybe some rain for Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio based on the GFS model, whereas the ECMWF says it's going to stay more over in the Illinois region. Now we're going to progress to the time of our severe weather event on Friday that is currently forecasted by the SPC. Let's do that real quick. Progressing it forward, you can kind of see some of the rain moves out, and then that low pressure system right there is beginning to develop. Let's progress the model for the GFS. Again, they are kind of, the center of low pressure is kind of displaced in between the two locations here, but they still do show a low pressure system developing in these regions here. So you can see the difference. You have it developing over Wyoming in this area here, and you have it developing in South Dakota and South Dakota according to the ECMWF model. So let's take a look and continue with the progression. As we get into Friday, you see the GFS is kind of putting out the potential for a cluster of thunderstorms to develop, in fact, early in the morning. That could hinder some of the severe weather potential for Friday overall, but that's what the GFS is currently pointing out. Now, ECMWF model really shows a developing maybe, I don't know what you'd say if it's an MCS, a mesocyclonic system, but along the front, and you can really see that pressure gradient that's on the front of it. I wish I could get a sounding, but I don't have Pivotal Weather Plus. Maybe I should invest in it. But this is showing that, well, maybe there's a line of storms developing around Friday morning off to the west, whereas this model shows by Friday morning we'll just have some scattered rain showers at first. Then we see the low pressure systems moving in. So you can kind of see the variabilities here. You still do have activity in a similar area based on both models, but again, low pressure systems displaced farther to the north according to the ECMWF model when compared to the GFS, which is displacing farther to the south. Again, as I'm going through these, keep in mind that this is all off farther to this. This is all like 5 or 6 days out, all right? So that means there's going to be a lot of changes possibly as we approach the day, okay? So you want to keep that in perspective as we keep on going through this. So let's progress forward. This is Friday morning, 7 a.m. We'll go to 7 a.m. on the GFS2. Not much activity by 7 a.m. Friday morning, and it's not really going to initiate until the afternoon according to what some of the models are saying here. And then by the time we get to 1 p.m., you can kind of see that initial line along the ECMWF, according to the ECMWF model in southern Michigan. It doesn't really show too much activity really developing in the region just yet. But then by the time we get towards later in the afternoon, you can see some pop-up clusters of showers and thunderstorms that form a pretty well-defined line along the Mississippi River Valley, Ohio River Valley as well, going up towards Detroit, and really storms packing all severe hazards moving through at this time. So you can kind of see that. Let's progress it off to the east a little bit more with the GFS model. You can see the pop-up clusters of showers and thunderstorms according to this model. So let's look at that real quick, get a sounding showing marginal severe risk, and you got that a little bit of a hook with regarding to the hodograph that you see there, and the CAPE is at 1,360, so that's going to be something to watch, see how much CAPE we get. Instability in the atmosphere is going to be a key role in how severe the storms get as well, so that's going to be something to watch out for. And we're getting some CAPE values early on according to the model, so going to want to watch that as this evolves as well. So you get to that point, I need to backtrack because I just lost my place on the GFS, but as that moves through, really nothing else shows up on the models that is worth forecasting. But again, ECMWF also consistent with the GFS in that development of a shower and thunderstorm activity in Indiana and Ohio. So I'm not going to make forecasts for the SPC here, what they're going to do. It's up to them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they shift the 15% risk eastward. But again, they have a lot more data than I do that I'm using here, so trust them over me for sure. But this is just something to look at. Comparing the two models, I want to go to the GFS model alone now because we can get a lot of data from them right here. So let's go to a regional map of what the GFS is saying here. So this is the current time. Again, we're going to fast forward to the time we want to focus on, which would be right about here. So Saturday 7 p.m. around 9 p.m. at this time here, you get those thunderstorms that look like they're going to be developing, packing marginal severe potential according to latest models. Again, marginal severe going down to southern Indiana. We get a sounding that doesn't even show severe potential according to what the sounding's trying to say. Again, so the GFS is really downplaying this event, which is a good thing. We don't really want to see any severe weather here, but if we do, I'll probably be out chasing it for sure, especially in this region. So GFS not really showing any strong event based on the current model here. But again, since this is a long ways out, I do want to take a look at the severe weather maps for this event as well. So that's what we're going to do real quick. First of all, let's look at the air in the levels of the atmosphere. Let's start with the surface winds. Surface winds are going to be out of the south. They're going to be strong, around 36 knots, okay? So 36 knot winds, which are pretty strong winds ahead of a cold front. And then as we go higher in the atmosphere, you see those winds begin to increase. These winds could really drive some updraft formation, especially as they are changing at different levels of the atmosphere as well. And you can see the winds do increase as you head up into the higher levels of the atmosphere ahead of the front. So that's going to be a factor in this event as well, how that evolves. And again, we have the jet following right behind that, the jet stream following behind that front as well, which could drive some storm activity along with it. Now let's take a look at the severe weather dynamics real quick. The lapse rates, or the ability of the atmosphere to take up moisture and start, or how quickly the temperature drops at a different layers in the atmosphere, and it's dropping by about 7 degrees Celsius as you go up from 700 millibars to 500 millibars. That is the temperature change that's taking place. So lapse rates are kind of a little bit steeper, which could drive more condensation, which could produce more thunderstorm activity. So 8 degrees, not extremely steep lapse rates, but they are still favorable for some development of thunderstorms. Let's look at the Cape. Surface-based Cape shows 1,400, 1,500 instability. Again, Cape measuring instability in the atmosphere based on the heating of the Earth's surface by the sun and the moisture that is in the atmosphere as well. So Cape of about 1,400, 1,500 CIN. Now this right here, high CIN values could hinder severe weather development, and it looks like there's some higher values, it looks like, so that might be something that could hinder severe weather development. And then cloud bases are higher in some spots, which will reduce the potential for tornadoes especially. So that's going to be something to be aware of. It's where we get these low spots where we're at 20 meters where the cloud bases are really low. That's where you could see potential for more tornadic-like activity, but it doesn't. But with higher levels, it seems more along the lines of a damaging wind threat. But again, these models are still forecasting very far out, so we'll want to watch for that. Let's take a look at the wind shear. Wind shear is ahead of the front is not looking super high, but behind the front it is quite high levels. Let's take a look at the measure of spin in the atmosphere. There is going to be some spin in the atmosphere according to this model. You have some spin, higher values indicate more spin in the atmosphere that could fuel the possibility for some tornado, for some updrafts formation and supercell formation, which leads us to the supercell composite, which is showing values of 4 to 5, which is capable of severe weather risk. So marginal severe risk, once again, showing some responses on the supercell and significant hail values there. So let's do a crossover of the severe weather real quick. Again, red is the surface winds. You can kind of see the winds change pretty quickly from the surface and the upper levels of the atmosphere in this behind the cold front, and you can see how all the winds gradually change later on with the system. So again, this is a long ways out, so we don't want to make certain conclusions about this event just yet. But hopefully, showing you all these models gives you an idea. Hey, this is something to be aware of. Maybe there's going to be some severe weather over on Friday by the time we reach Friday. And again, I'm going to continue to provide updates as we get closer and as this setup continues to evolve. So make sure you check out SPC's website, NOAA's website for different information regarding that. But you can see that there might be some potential for severe weather later on Friday. So hope this video is helpful to you. Please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and hopefully they can get this information as well. Again, find some trustworthy sources such as the NWS, SPC. Definitely refer to them. They are the best in the business, so you'll want to keep them in mind as well. But enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will keep you updated as more information comes out.